How a failed comedian became a 4chan conspiracy theory.
4th, 2025. A 4chan user on X makes a post that reads, "This is a demon writing itself retroactively into pop culture history. You think this is a shit post, but you'll remember him from your childhood soon enough." Attached was a photo of a man wearing red and white striped pajamas, posing in front of a solid yellow background.
Never seen this guy in my life. Maybe for older people. Is this like a 30-year-old 4chan user?
The file name was royjpjs.jpg. X began to lose their minds. They frantically searched for any information they could find about Roy J, yet upon their first attempts, there was nothing. The thread was dying down, and people started to shrug it off as just another schizo post. But suddenly, as if someone flipped a switch, articles began to appear. A wiki showed up out of thin air. Videos of Roy performing were uncovered, and they dated as far back as 2008. What was going on? Was this really a demonic entity writing itself into history? No. It couldn't be true, it's just not possible.
What the are they talking about? A demonic entity writing himself into history? What do you mean? This is an image of a dude wearing pajamas that also does music videos and maybe was just they're saying a failed comedian. He kind of looked like a singer.
Not possible.
Like you? Bro, this is getting into that where it's like, you know how like there's certain users on X or 4chan, Reddit, whatever it may be, that are like, hey, this famous person is most definitely a part of the Illuminati and a lizard person. Like, where do you go? That's just such a level of conspiracy that you can't prove it. Because obviously conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories. They're not provable. But there's like evidence that you could add to make a conspiracy theory more believable versus just going, this guy probably sold his soul to the devil. This guy probably, I think he's a demon.
Or is it?
Who's your favorite lizard person? Who would I say is a lizard person if I had to actually if I had to actually say who I think is a lizard person? I would say like Mark Zuckerberg, but I think Mark Zuckerberg's just like antisocial and had a weird fashion sense that made him look kind of creepy. But now he looks more normal because he got like a better haircut and he doesn't like do death stares at people. Elon Musk, maybe. Richest man in the world, worth $500 billion now. Like, if anybody's not real and a fucking like humanoid alien, it'd be like a really high up individual. Somebody that was able to manipulate the system in a way that gives them the benefit in every situation. Jeff Bezos? No, I think Jeff Bezos is like, I also don't think Elon Musk is a lizard person. He's too human. Not in like a moral sense. He rage baits on Twitter. What alien, like an alien would be, bro, you see what I mean? Like he cheats in fucking Diablo. Like that's a human, bro. I can't say Elon Musk is an alien knowing that he paid somebody to boost his Diablo account. Like that's just straight up the Rizzler. Maybe like dead ass. Like the Rizzler, he's 8 years old. He's skyrocketed to fucking stardom. No. Even then, it's just like his dad's recording him. Bro, there's nobody that I could think of that's like, dead ass, you're a lizard person. You're not a human. Mr. Beast? Like, I don't, yeah, maybe Mr. Beast. Realistically, a politician. Like a random politician. I would say it's easier to say somebody's a demon than like a lizard person. Because you could say you could be like, oh, Trump or Biden's a demon. Because you could go, they're just a non-moral, they're like a fucking, what is it called? They're, oh my God. When they take over your body. Oh my God. What is that called? Not a parasite. No, they possessed. When they're like, you could say, yeah, Joe Biden or fucking Trump are possessed demons. And so that's why they just do like, you could be like, oh, this is just creepy. But like a lizard person wouldn't act like a human. Like if they're selfish, that would be like a human trait. Well, I like the way a lizard person would be like a robot.
Roy J was born in Norway in 1948 and moved to South Wales when he was 4. From an early age, he displayed a passion for entertainment, creating his own beat group where he would perform for dances and socials. This would be the first of many attempts he would make at achieving stardom. He continued in the world of music for a number of years but found little success, eventually choosing to shoot his shot in stand-up comedy instead. Here he would gain a little...
What a transition. What a transition. Music, failed musician, I'm gonna try stand-up comedy. The hardest, I would say the hardest career to gain success in. Deadass. Being a fucking successful comedian is like pulling teeth, bro. You know how many people want to be a comedian and fail? Like, the sample size is fairly small comparable to other careers, but the success rate is like near zero. 10,000 comedians could try, and one gets to stardom. Like, everyone else is just, I would say 90% of comedians fucking hit a wall. Just fucking dud.
More traction, but nowhere near as much as he wanted. After observing other comics, he realized his material was far too similar to theirs. He needed something to differentiate himself from everyone else. He wanted to stand out amongst the crowd. So he began to experiment with various gimmicks, hoping that one would bring him the attention that he...
I don't like gimmick comedians. I think the ideal comedian is somebody that, like, tells stories and does things around that. Like, they're them, but maybe, like, they put on a persona, but they're telling a story, versus somebody that just plays, like, 5 characters.
Thought he deserved. He continued...
So, like, Matt Rife? No, not a fan of Matt Rife. Matt Rife only does crowd work, and I hate that. I think if you're a comedian, you should have a set planned that you should be 90% set, 10% crowd work. Matt Rife is 80% crowd work, 20% set. Dave Chappelle is like 90% set. Shane Gillis, 90% set. You could go like Gabriel Iglesias, 80% set, right? They have a pre-planned thing that they crafted, and they're going to riff up there around that level. Trevor Wallace, yeah, stuff like that.
His act in various clubs.
Jack Whitehall. Now I could just list comedians.
Began to experiment with various gimmicks, hoping that one would bring him the attention that he thought he deserved. He continued his act in various clubs, and critics...
Like, what is this fucking bit here? See, this is like... what? I know this is probably the 80s when he was trying to do this, but what is he... Is he doing an act out right now? What is this fucking screen grab of this guy?
Began to notice him. They praised him for his delivery, timing, and ability to hold an audience. But despite this, he remained relatively stagnant. He went through several bouts of depression and alcoholism, feeling like he was getting nowhere, but he wasn't going to give up on his dream. It was at this point that he created a new persona, a persona that would mark the beginning of the Slithering.
I really find it very refreshing when I see a new comedian arrive on the scene with a style that's all his own. And I'd like you to share that rare pleasure with me now. Here's Roy J.
Comedian wearing gloves. He walks out on stage. Hey! I'd immediately fucking throw tomatoes. I'm leaving. If you're doing a dance wind up with music playing.
A stranger in a black sedan, don't want you hop inside my car. I've got candy floss, I'm a traveling man, and I will take you to the nearest star. Hey. Hi, weirdos. Spook.
Nah, you know the fucking lizard people? This guy is a human. You know the fucking demons and the lizard people are the fucking motherfuckers laughing in the crowd, man. Who finds this funny? I can see somebody fucking just bombing this hard. That's innately human. You suck so bad on stage. Who's laughing at this?
I used to be a schizophrenic, but we're both okay now.
What? Okay, I gotta make this point. Stand-up comedy in person, hell of a lot funnier because you're in an audience like environment where everybody's laughing and one person laughing makes other people laugh, so everything seems more funny. But I would be stone cold Steve Austin here. I'd be fucking front row. Never even boo. I'd love to do that. I'd feel like an asshole. But it would be kind of a fun experience to go to like a stand-up comedy bit, and anytime you think a joke's not funny, you just go. No, you don't even boo. He doesn't see you half the time, but one time he makes eye contact with you, and you're just like, no. That was a bad one.
Wow, this place is weird, huh? Slither. I met a guy outside tonight. Slither. On his way to the Olympic Games. I said, are you a pole vaulter? He said, no, German, but how did you know my name?
Background music.
That wasn't funny. That wasn't. I know comedy's subjective, right? A lot of you guys think I'm funny. A lot of people don't think I'm funny at all. I don't know anyone that would be like, huh, even a chuckle.
Music played continuously as he paced the stage. Each one of his steps were perfect.
I mean, dude, it looks like he's on fucking cocaine. Am I crazy? It looks like he's like sitting there going, saw a guy outside, he was German. Are you a pole vaulter? Oh no, how'd you know? How do you know my name?
Really synchronized with the rhythm.
Really to cook that one up.
Slither and spook, he'd remark, seemingly randomly throughout the performance. It was weird, but that's what people liked about it. After all of his attempts, something was finally working. The offers were coming in. He actually signed to an agency. This is what he had been dreaming of. However, while he gained an audience and managed to appear on TV, not everyone was so keen on his act. Many saw through his gimmick, focusing on the substance, which was mediocre at best. But Roy didn't care. He was finally in the spotlight, and to him, that's all that mattered. As his hard work began to pay off, he started drinking and partying more, treating himself for the effort he'd put in.
Like, bro, why is he in a Skull Trooper? Why is he in a Skull Trooper fit right now? Just like slithering across the stage. He makes like 5 jokes.
It wasn't time for him to relax. He should have been focusing on his act. His abuse of alcohol began to affect his work. He'd show up to shoots completely wasted, unfit to act in any reasonable manner. He was not in a good state of mind.
That's not that absurd for comedians, though, to be straight up hammered on stage. Not to the point where they get like booed off or they can't function. But didn't Joey Diaz do like 500 milligrams of edibles and like Xanax and then get on stage and do a whole set and just fucking, but kill it? Like, or like not most, I don't want to say most. A lot of comedians have drug abuse problems and do them while they're working.
It all fell apart during a performance in 1984.
Bert Kreischer drinks. That's different.
He was being heckled in front of an audience.
I would say you getting mildly drunk on stage is a lot different than you doing like a line of cocaine and Xanax and then fucking performing.
Of 600 people. Usually he was able to handle it. But on that night,
600 people? How big of a room would that be? Would that be like a gymnasium? That'd be like a gymnasium level of people.
Of 600 people. Usually he was able to handle it. But on that night, he snapped. Someone yelled at him, "Get him off!" So he did. He took off his pants and revealed his genitals to the entire audience.
What a plot twist. What a plot twist. What? How does this have to do with him being a demon on 4chan and somebody that's like implementing himself in society? He bombed on stage, somebody called him out, and then he fucking just stripped naked? What?
Police were called and he was thrown in jail for the night. The next morning he was released, but he was ordered to pay a £200 fine. After this ordeal, the gigs dried up. He had a few more appearances on TV, but it was clear that his moment was over.
Wow, what an experience that would be in the fucking crowd, dude. You're watching the worst set of your life. Somebody says something. You know how bad the set would have to be for somebody to say something? Like a 2 out of 10. Because say the set gets you like 1 laugh, you're probably not going to say shit, you know? You're going to be like, whatever. It's a bad show, but I'll just sit here till it's done or I'll leave. Like, it would have to be bad for somebody to say something. Maybe because they paid, it would be less. If you go to like a free comedy stand-up area, it would have to be really bad for you to say something. But if I paid like $50 for a ticket and it was a shitty show.
4 years of fame. After struggling for his entire life, that's all he got. 4 years of fame.
Okay, this is fucking bullshit. Of course Roy J isn't a real person. It's obviously that he's an eldritch, interdimensional demon trying to retroactively weave himself into the public zeitgeist. What is the perfect citizen thinking? More like the imperfect hard. I can't stand this shit. I'm gonna freak. I don't care. I'll report a channel. I hope whatever Roy J is infects his mind and turns into a slither beast, because I don't care. You fucking loser. You get what you fucking deserve.
Are there people that are actually on 4chan that are like defending the fact that Roy is a demon with their lives? There's no way.
What the fuck? Did he just fucking wink at me? Did he fucking wink at me?
The image definitely does look creepy, but I think that's just because it's like a weird dude in pajamas from the 80s.
People actually believe that Roy was some sort of demon, capable of writing itself into history. It sounds absurd until you start digging a little deeper. People began to question
There are some Mandela effect-esque things, but the reverse, that fuck me up. Not like, oh, I thought that GIF was Jiffy and it's GIF. I'm saying there's like things, I can't really explain it though, you know? I can't give you an example, but there's times that I'll like see something on social media or Google something and it'll tell me a fact that I thought wasn't real or something that never existed that was just like implemented into like the internet. The Monopoly guy, no, that's Mandela where it's like, oh, I thought he had a monocle, he didn't. No. I think that's where it's like you thought something exists and it doesn't versus something that you thought didn't exist and it does.
the supposed story of Roy J. They found several.
Yeah, that's one. Sinbad. Example of one is like the Sinbad movie. I don't think that actually existed though. Sinbad genie film. Because most people mix it up with like the Shaq movie. Most people think, no, that's still another Mandela effect. Because people thought Sinbad had a movie, but this isn't real. Because Shaq had a movie where he was a genie called Kazam. And it was like one of the worst rated movies ever. Not one of the worst rated movies ever. It did very bad.
Inconsistencies. Some sources.
Narwhals? Yeah, that's an example of one. But that's an animal. That's not like that's not like this Roy being a demon implementing himself into history. A narwhal is an animal that you thought was fictitious because it was in the movie Elf with Will Ferrell. And then you actually find out narwhals are real animals.
Inconsistencies. Some sources claim that he was born in 1928 and died in 1992, while others claim that he was born in 1948 and died in Spain in 2007. Those who were skeptical about Roy's death contacted the crematorium rumored to have held his funeral. Posing as a
people were really getting into this.
relative, they requested information regarding his death. The crematorium responded, but they weren't able to share much due to privacy concerns. However, after reviewing their records, they confirmed that there were no entries for the name Roy J in 2000.
Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't get me in. No. Don't get me on the rabbit hole. I'm sitting here going, there's no fucking way. And you're going to be like, there's no record of Roy. There's no birth or death record of Roy. Stop.
2007. This was an interesting development, but there was one problem. Roy J was just a stage name. His actual name was Roy Jorgensen, so unless he changed his name, he wouldn't have been buried as Roy J. Other people noted the very vague comments left on Roy's videos, saying that they looked AI generated due to their repetitive nature and simple phrasing. They never directly acknowledged the substance of his performance.
That's better a comedian that made everybody laugh. Very sadly missed Slither on Roy. Great showman. I loved it. Roblin50. Bro, these are like AI Fortnite usernames. This goes more into like dead internet theory. Martin Worthington 3168, David Anderson 7037. They all have numbers. Philip Probinson 256. Oh my god, stop.
They just repeat his catchphrases spook, slither, and you'll all be doing it tomorrow. This didn't mean much.
No, I'm falling for the 4chan theory right now.
Maybe they were just some old boomers that were reminiscing about his act. But it only added fuel to the fire, raising the suspicion of those coming from X. It's understandable that there would be inconsistent information surrounding Roy. This was a failed comedian that peaked in 1984, having less than a
Yeah, it was fucking 40 years ago. It was 40 years ago, and it's about a guy that was mildly popular in niche areas.
decade of fame. For someone so obscure, the fact that any
If he was a demon trying to implement himself in history, don't you think he would give himself a bit of a better historical ending? Like if Roy was implementing himself into history, he wouldn't be a failed comedian that took his pants off when somebody got mad at him. It would be like, you know, he'd try and give himself like some more famous role.
records still exist is a miracle in itself. But that doesn't explain the unsettling nature of his comedy sets. Everything about them feels wrong, and even those who don't believe in the bizarre theories agree that they look AI generated. His costume doesn't make any sense. His jokes are terrible.
It looks like a bad mix of Jim Carrey and Mr. Bean. Like the Mr. Bean style of movement, and I guess like, just two things that don't mend well.
Agree that they look AI generated. His costume doesn't make any sense. His jokes are terrible, yet the audience laughs hysterically at everything he says. But the most disturbing part is his eyes. They just
Because he's on fucking cocaine, dude.
never seem right. There's something deeply unnatural about them. They're like that in all of his performances, and even on his supposed album cover. Roy J didn't feel like an actual person. It all seemed so surreal. It's no surprise so much speculation arose. Theories as to who or what Roy was.
Okay, this is kind of whack though. If this guy is like, okay, I'm saying if he's real. That's kind of crazy though that this guy was a failed comedian, died, and now like 30 years after his death, people are fucking on 4chan going, this guy never existed.
Began flooding the
This guy was probably a demon.
threads. It was suggested that Roy was an SPCG, or a solar plexus clown glider. An SPCG
What the fuck does that mean? A solar plexus clown glider?
is a
We have acronyms for a category of person like this, a corruptive entity.
corruptive entity which infects weak and vulnerable people, making itself known through images and words. It feeds off human misery and causes hallucinations in its host. It's said that simply reading or hearing the words solar plexus clown glider can make one susceptible to infection. PCGs are considered to be mimetic
My favorite comedian is Roy J. I love his stand-up set where he says slither.
parasites, meaning they're parasites that have evolved to resemble another organism. Perhaps that's why so many suspect Roy of being an SPCG. He comes off as a warped imitation of a human, and watching his performance
Wait, what? So they're saying he's just a weird mutation of somebody that did exist?
SPCG. He comes off as a warped imitation of a human, and watching his performance leaves you with a lingering discomfort. Others suggested that Roy J is some sort of reverse Mandela effect, where instead of people
That's what I was just fucking saying. Oh my god. Because the Mandela effect's always things that you thought exist that don't. So it's literally and I swear, chat, this isn't a pre-watch. Oh my god, because that's what it is. It's just the opposite of a Mandela effect. It's, hey, I thought this existed, it doesn't. And then, or something just popping into your brain that's like, wait, what the fuck?
remembering something that never existed attempts to inject itself into people's memories. Unlike the Mandela effect,
I can't think of an example, though.
this theory is inherently paranormal, as it requires a non-human entity that manipulates perception and
That's so creepy. That's like that one Rick and Morty episode. What's that one Rick and Morty episode where they have like a family member that's always been there and they're all like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then one of the family members like, wait, what? What is that episode? It's his uncle? Yeah, Uncle Jerry. There's an episode of Rick and Morty where there's like an Uncle Jerry that just shows up and they're all like, yeah, I love that guy. And I think it's like either Morty or Rick that's like, I don't remember an Uncle Jerry. But they're all like, yeah, you remember when we would like hang out and we would like, and it was like your 5th birthday. We went to Toys R Us and so they implement memories into your mind. That's fucking crazy to think, and you would never know. If that ever was a thing, you would never know. Like, you could have a family member that exists that you think you've had all these memories with, but they're just implanted into your brain. Like, an alien could live among you, and you'd never know.
History. People began to decipher the Pajama Man character and connect it with the occult. They brought up several examples of other characters who are
Mr. Poopy Pants in Parasite 2.
known to wear pajamas, most notably Sleepy Gary from Rick and Morty.
Bro, this isn't a pre-watch. We were talking about it, bro.
Sleepy Gary was a parasitic creature that would plant
we said Sleepy Gary. We said Uncle Jerry. Who the fuck is Uncle Jerry?
false memories inside of people's heads, causing them to remember events that never actually occurred. It didn't take long for people to draw parallels between Roy J. and Sleepy Gary. It's believed that they're a
And they both have the hat.
similar entity, but there's no explanation as to what that entity is. It's certainly strange that the concept of Roy is basically the same as Sleepy Gary, but this theory was criticized because they're trying to explain a paranormal phenomenon.
Bro, I would actually have a fucking panic attack if this ever happened. Imagine you're hanging out with your friends and you're like, hey, let's go bowling. They bring, like, you go with 4 other people. They bring one guy. You're like, oh, who are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Joe. And your friends are like, what do you mean? What are you playing a bit? This is John. We've always known John. And they all, but they're not fucking with you. They're all like so dead ass. Like you've known John. They show you pictures of you guys and you've always been with John. And you're like, I've never met this guy in my fucking life. And they full convince you. You go to bed next day, you're like, that's fucking so weird. Maybe I just forgot him. I don't know. I'm not really that close with him. Next day you wake up, your fucking girlfriend starts talking about how John helped her out with something years ago. And then your mom's like, yeah, John. Yo, I would go live in the woods. I would immediately be like, nah, I'm done.
By using
Society's cooked. It's over.
a character from Rick and Morty.
That wouldn't be dementia, dude. Dementia, you would just start forgetting things prior to an individual person fully.
Another theory is that Roy is a rogue AI from Google that has broken free from its constraints and is now fabricating a human identity. This may provide an explanation as to how videos were posted 15 years ago, despite the claims that there were 0 results when first
Like they were able to manipulate YouTube's server system to show that it was from this amount of time ago.
searching Roy's name. Perhaps the AI has access to this function and is able to manipulate the date of its posts. This seems to be the most favorable theory. As noted before, it's generally agreed that Roy's performances appear to be AI generated. This would explain the bad jokes, the eye distortion, the weird costume, and the stupid catchphrases. But it still leaves the question,
Or he's just an unfunny drug addict. Like, that's an Occam's razor type of fucking solution there. Like the one with the least assumptions. Like,
what's the purpose? Why would it create Roy J? And more importantly, why would it reveal itself on X? A theory that could be related is that Roy is a government test. Maybe the government is using Roy to see if they can change history and get away with it. More accurately, they want to see if they can
yeah, but that's such a low-level thing to try and do. Like, wouldn't you want to at least shoot a little bit higher? Like a B-list celebrity, like a C-list celebrity, B-list celebrity, not like dude, fucking Roy J.
change history in real time and get away with it. Perhaps they're still using AI to achieve this, but of course, it wouldn't be a rogue AI. Everything that you see would be carefully manufactured to fit the narrative. This theory answers any questions that one might have. Seeing that they're the government, they can do whatever they want. Some throw out the idea that Roy himself was behind the original post and all the speculation. He created this false reality as a way to gain popularity and finally fulfill his quest for stardom. In order for this to be true, Roy would have had to plan it decades ago, posting his performances to YouTube, commenting on forum pages, creating a Facebook fan page, faking his own death, all with the intention to come to 4chan and make schizophrenics believe that he was a demon. Surprisingly,
that's absurd.
Out of all the theories listed so far, this one is probably the most far-fetched. The most
yeah, that from the beginning of his career, he planned to say that he was a demon.
likely theory out of all of them is that this is a coordinated troll, with the intent to rile up some crazy people online. which...
Well, I mean, I don't know. I can believe in the dead internet theory. That's a lot different though. I could believe that all the commenters on Roy's posts are fake. Like, you could convince me that 40% of the people, not 40%. You could convince me that 30% of comments and posts on all social medias are not real people. They're AIs that are either made by other people that kind of have just done whatever they, were told to do, and then now they just exist on their own, or the company's creating them. We're fake. You could convince me that 10% of my Twitch chat's fake. I think Twitch is different because it's live, but like, you could convince me that 800 people here aren't real. Not real, meaning like bots. Like, you could convince bots, meaning like they just type just fucking random words like hi, hello, emotes, and that's it.
If true, has been a great success. X went crazy over this one, and they're still trying to figure out what Roy J is to this day. It's a lot of fun to entertain the idea of Roy never existing, but if you look into his story for more than 10 seconds, it's pretty clear that he was a real person. There's an explanation to all of the questions that X has. I'm not sure if anyone actually believes that Roy's an AI demon. You'd have to be really delusional to fall for that. The Facebook group has over 600 people in it. There's all kinds of forums where they talk about Roy. Some guy from X straight up bought one of Roy's old records. How much more proof do you need?
Yeah.
The reality is Roy was a person. He was a performer. He was a comedian. He had fans, he had friends, and he had a family. And now when his family goes back to watch his performance and reminisce, all they see are people claiming that he's an AI demon who was never even real. I will agree, the performances are definitely...
It's not AI, or even Mandela effect, you dingleberries. Stick to your containment boards and start paying attention to the paranormal events that matter. UFO abductions, cattle mutilation phenomenon. This whole thing is simply just lost media. There's nothing spectacular about it.
Real. I will agree, the performances are definitely eerie. There was something weird about them, but being weird was his entire gimmick. That's what makes Roy so fascinating. He wasn't a comic that gave up after a few failed attempts. He failed over and over and over again, trying new concepts each time until one worked. It's actually rather admirable. He wasn't afraid of failure, and if it weren't for his vices, he probably would have been a big hit. His set was extremely intriguing.
Yeah, but I think it's extremely intriguing, but I think it also is like there's a level of trial and error works in the sense that I think if you try it and fail enough, you will succeed at some point in the majority of things. But if you trial and error this to the point where you just want to succeed in the sense of being famous, he might have hated this set. He might have hated doing this. Like, he succeeded in the sense that he got the fame he wanted, but he doesn't like the job that he has to do to obtain it.
Pulls you in and holds on to your attention. It genuinely feels like a dream. People critique and insult Roy for telling lame jokes, but the comedy wasn't the point of his act. It was the character. And the character told lame jokes. If the character told good jokes, well then the character wouldn't make sense. Roy J was an interesting figure.
But why the fuck would I want to pay to go watch somebody tell me bad jokes?
He had an impact on many people's lives despite his career
I don't understand that.
being short-lived. It really is a shame things turned out the way they did. And yes, some people think that his act was stupid, but it had this special charm to it. That's why people still talk about it 40 years after it was relevant. And even though he didn't make it big while he was alive, maybe this is his chance to make it big now that he's passed on. Rest in peace, Roy J. Spook, spooks, slither hither, my friend.
I loved that video. Imagine your legacy after trying to be a comedian is people on the internet forum wondering if you're a demon or an AI. Motherfucker's bad eyeliner and lazy eyes for the first time. That I think cracks me up because it's just caused by his terrible, inconsistent eyeliner. I was gonna say that, or the fact that he was just he was getting drunk or like on some sort of substance while he was fucking, performing. Like, that's not uncommon for comedians to use substances prior to going on stage, especially if his actual character is somebody that is just weird. Roy J. inconsistent, the real, but consistently weird. AI generated videos are never consistent. That's true.